My name is Marielis Cuello, and I have experienced the power of Calvary. Before Jesus, I found myself to be a very proud and independent person. This brought me to seclude myself and kind of take things my own route, do things my own way, not really like the opinion of others. I am one out of 5 children, and being the role model for the rest, being the oldest, it was pretty tough. In school, I would wander off. I did not like to be surrounded by people. If I could have a class one-on-one with my teachers, I would prefer that. I did get a lot of attention when I was younger. It wasn't that people didn't pay attention to me. I did. The boys would tell me I was beautiful. Anyone that would see myself and my father together would say, "Wow, what a beautiful daughter you have. Look at those eyes." Not knowing that on the inside, I'm just standing there thinking, can I just be a regular plain Jane? Can I have brown eyes? Can I have just regular dark hair and walk around and just disappear? Kind of walked with my head down most of the time. Finding so many differences between my mother's God and my grandmother's God, I decided to do a little bit of research myself to see who this God person is. I was raised Christian by my mother. My grandmother was Catholic, so I found that maybe those two aspects might have been something that had to do with each other, and how they decided to portray God to me. What really prompted me to search and find out how much in common we really do have was the time when I did see my sister and her demeanor, me wanting to be that role model, that big sister. I saw that she would walk many times with her head down. Kind of hit me very hard that what I was putting out was something so negative. It was very scary to see and hear about stories where young children, where not children but youth, find out that they feel alone to the point where they're committing suicide, they're hurting themselves, they're getting to a point where they just want to feel a specific pain that takes away maybe everyday life for them. This is not who I thought I was. But seeing my reflection in my sister brought that to light. It was very debilitating, very saddening to me to see my sister at this point, and it really made a 360 happen in my mind. I do recall a time where I was at home, I was taking care of my siblings, my mother had gone out, and I'm washing the dishes, and I started hearing whispers coming to my ears, saying, "Why do you want to live? What's the point of being here? Wouldn't you just prefer to be wiped off the face of the earth? Wouldn't your family just be better off if you weren't here to give off such negativity?" As I heard that, I started really focusing on, is my life mine to take? Cutting myself was a big part of my life at that time. It relieved a lot of stress. It relieved a lot of mental abuse that I was causing myself, wanting to be so separated and not wanting to be like anybody else. I wanted to be my own person. I didn't know how. I didn't know who I should be. I was basically very lost within myself. And I hear this very loud whisper, it was actually very intriguing. And it did tell me, why don't you just use that same knife that you're washing? And why don't you just do it now? They won't remember, they're young enough. Your mom's not here. You won't cause her pain. You won't have to see her reaction. It's very difficult. And right then, I started crying. And I looked down, looked at the water. It reminded me, of a couple of beaches we had gone while I was younger. And I remember while being at the beach, feeling so much peace and thinking, I wonder who made this? I wonder why this exists. So my thoughts started being the complete opposite of what I actually had heard. And I thank God for that now. I realized it was Him. I didn't do anything that day. I put the dishes down. I left them half dirty. I walked to my room and I started to write. Couldn't figure it out. I said that it has to be something higher than just my existence. I have to have a reason and a purpose for being here. Went to church one day. Had a voice tell me, I am the only one that can love you the way that you want to be loved. And that stuck with me for life. And that is when I truly encountered Jesus. Dance was huge. It was my first experience in finding out why you need to be pure. My first experience in knowing what unity could be and how important people are in your life and why you should have them. Being so excited to be dancing for the Lord, I found myself very interested in a boy as well. I had been with him for 4 years, and with this whole purification process, I let myself down. I did get pregnant, and it was huge for me, a huge downer. I lost everything. My pregnancy, even though it had become my downfall at the moment, my daughter Lonnie was a blessing. That word that was spoken to me about, God being the only one that can give me the love the way that I needed it, the way that I wanted it, the way that I thought of, He showed it to me through Lonnie. I just wanted her to come out so I can have someone to love that would love me back. One day when I was crying and I felt at my worst, I sat down with the Bible, and as I'm reading it, God reveals and tells me, I give you children because I love you. That was it. That was it. I would love this child with everything that I had for the rest of my life. And now seeing my daughter following in my footsteps makes me very proud. It makes me excited. It lets me know, hey, maybe if it's not me, it is definitely her. Maybe if the lesson wasn't for me, it was for me to teach her. She is my light. She's my little dancing flower. 1 year, on New Year's Eve, I made a promise. I will not go out with anyone. I will not pay attention to anyone unless it is my husband. Can you imagine the pain I put some guys through? It was difficult. A lot of them came after I started praying that prayer. I fasted for 3 months. It went on to being a year once I met the guy. But God did reveal Himself, and I found my husband, Marielis Cuello. I had been a single mother for 2 years, going on 3 before I met Manny. And it caused a lot of conflict in the beginning. It was complicated, as I kept telling him. And then I fell in love. I started seeing more of God through Manny. That is what brought me to the extreme of, this is it, he's the one, I'm all over it. We have been married for 2 years now, and it is amazing. It was worth the wait, it was worth the fasting, it was worth the praying. Because when God gives you something that's yours, it's absolutely perfect. Calvary Worship Center has proven to be the complete opposite of everything I've ever known. When it comes to an organization, when it comes to a church, when it comes to people. I started at Cristo del Rey, and I was very excited to see how excited the pastors were to be up there. But something changed for me. My stimulation ended up being the Spanish portion of it. I did move to Woonsocket to meet my husband halfway, and found that now I'm far from this church. What do I do now? God says, don't worry about it. I've got it all wrapped up. I've got the same pastors here in Woonsocket. I had no idea. But it was amazing. It was all God. I came to Calvary, And the experience has been completely different. My pastors and their love have been the utmost, greatest thing I have ever experienced. I would not change it for the world. Their understanding is on levels that you can't even put limitations to. And I decided to stay here. If you're like me and you find yourself to be alone, independent, antisocial, come meet Christ. I promise you he'll make a difference. It'll all disappear with a blink of an eye. And you'll find that it is absolutely worth it.